these days only get to see the net when they with the umpire at the beginning of the match and shaking hands at the end of the match. Both Henman and Rusedski use it a lot, and this very knowledgeable tennis crowd will enjoy that very much. So whilst they may have no real feelings for the nationalities of the players, they'll have a great feeling and admiration for their tennis skills.
When Glenn Mackay asked Greg what he was going to do a couple of days ago after his last win against Philippoussis, he said, "Oh, take the fluids in." That was the first thing. Instinctively he said that, and you can see there, taking every precaution. Ice around his neck, even though temperature now around 16 degrees. Pretty muggy here.
Quickly, please. Thank you.
But sipping away at the water. 1-2. Super reaction.
15 long.
The key here is great anticipation by Rusedski of that forehand of Henman's. He had open court to Rusedski's forehand side, but Rusedski picked it.
Left for 6.
Missed by a fraction. He was chasing it in as well.
Averages about 3.5 doubles a match, so 5 against Philippoussis, but then, of course, these are best of 5-set matches. Henman actually on that left court is standing over just a little bit to his left, I think almost forcing Rusedski to go down the middle.
30-15.
Well, that's a super shot from Rusedski. And when he plays the backhand down the line like that, you know he's in business.
40-15.
Well, this is exactly the sort of counter that Rusedski would have been looking for. He knows that people will be looking to come in on the side, and they will expect a lot of cheap points. That's a slap in the face for Henman.
Rusedski, for me, looked a little nervous at the start. Even though he got the first couple of points on the Henman serve, looked a little tentative and very serious, but I think he'll be feeling a lot better now. Played that really well. That's a super point.
Well, it's not only biff bang, is it? It's the thinking man's game as well. How about that high backhand stop volley by Rusedski? He deserves to win the point after that.
14 off.
Naturally, that's what he wants to see. It's almost what you expect when you serve as well, wide to the Rusedski backhand.
Got him. A hand up in apology because it obviously was right on the edge of the frame.
Game, Henman.
It was a terrific strike. We saw Henman play a similar point to this with a similar result, only a more effective forehand or a more emphatic forehand to save break point against Vladimir Voskov. So we know it's no fluke.
The winner of this match will play Jonas Bjorkman, who earlier on today put out Guillermo Cañas of the Argentine pretty comfortably, straight sets. Bjorkman, who's already beaten a seed in Thomas Enquist. That'll be good news, I suspect, for Henman, because Cañas was a bit of a bogeyman for him. He'd won their last 3 meetings. He put him out of the French Open. But the bad news is that Bjorkman has a winning record against both these two. 4-2 against Henman on their last meeting in Nottingham, and against Greg he's 6-4, and he won their last meeting in the US Open last year.
On your seats quickly, please. Thank you.
Rusedski won it. Beat Bjorkman in 4.
You're right. Sorry, just they've got it. The names the wrong way around on the head-to-head I'm reading. Yeah, you're right. Rusedski's won their last 2. It is 6-4 though in Bjorkman's favour. Rusedski having won the last 2, including the US Open. So nowhere near a gimme, but for Tim's followers, I think good news that Cañas is out of the way.
That's right, yes, particularly. And there was quite a bit of needles in that Bjorkman-Rusedski match. There's something to look forward to there should Rusedski win.
Thank you. $15 off.
Both are looking good when they're making their moves to the net.
Everything's flowing for them both. There's no doubt about it. It's an outstanding tennis match. Over 30 points played and not an ace yet. Didn't seem too convincing. I think in a bit of a brown study, Henman at 30 love down.
First volley is missed. There's your first ace. Rusedski's been saying how hard he's worked over the winter. Henman has as well. Went to the US and really worked hard with Larry Stefanki. His build is roughly the same. He's always going to be fairly wiry, very athletic, very flexible. Seems to me that Rusedski's put on a few pounds in the upper body.
Well, how do you counter this body serving? You can stand a bit further back, give yourself just a bit more time. You can also bob and weave around. It's not exactly Rusedski's nature to do much of that.
He looks down, but it was okay. Almost a casual shot, this one from Henman.
Yes, I think he was delaying it wisely too, just to see what move Rusedski was making. Actually played it pretty late.
Good, he got that. Not getting anything off the Henman serve at the moment.
9 points in a row on serve for Henman, which is far better than he did ever against Volkov. The most there was 7 successive points.
Henman, ball change, please.
And into double figures. 7 games with serve. It's a terrific start to this match.
The heist is impossible.
Why do this? Why not do it?
But these guys
You're pulling a job, aren't you?
are just crazy enough.
You gotta be nuts. Exactly.
To pull off the con
Someone call for a doctor?
of the century.
Do it already.
George Clooney, Matt Damon, Andy Garcia, Brad Pitt, and Julia Roberts.
You're either in or you're out.
Ocean's 11.
I'm staying in.
The new Rover 75 Tourer. You might forget you're driving an estate.
What a glorious sight that is. Darkness nearly with us now. Lights have been on for some time. Stats going through while you were on the break. One of the key ones, service, first service speed highest. Henman 176, Rusedski 214. Endorses what you've been saying, Fru, that Henman's reducing that top speed to get the percentage of serves in higher and higher. And he'll be very happy with the key service stat, which is he's hardly losing a point on it. 10 in a row.
15 long.
Giving it a look, looking at the umpire, but a good call. You see the problem the linesperson has. They've got to look around Henman here as he moves. Not only good footwork by Rusedski, but also good arm work. Good coordination, because he had hit that with a lot of power.
Just soft enough. Looking very good at the net, Rusedski.
Boy, do these folk know their tennis. Look at the hands here of Henman, and look at Rusedski's as well. Real dexterity on both sides and great appreciation.
Another love service game.
4 games all.
But for a match which means so much, not just because it's the Battle of Britain or whatever you want to call it, which means so much because of the context of the tournament, where so few seeds are left in. Remarkably few unforced errors.
Top class. It's just going to take perhaps a stroke of luck or a glint of genius to tilt the scale. There are some who might say it might just take an awful shot. Well, that would be the stroke of luck, and it would also be looking at it perhaps a little negatively, which we don't want to do.
Well, few events which have had such an intense build-up as this one live up to their billing, but this seems as if it's going to.
Well, Rusedski must have felt he had the point one, but great anticipation by Henman. Rusedski loves the forehand down the line.
Really kicked with that second serve.
It's real preservation here by Henman. Total dedication to the task. 13 points in a row. He doesn't want Rusedski to take anything from him.
At last, the sequence is broken.
40-15. Henman.
Well, a point drop there, but it's hardly a calamity.
Henman leads 5 games to 4.
I mentioned that this is the right time for this match, and never more endorsed by the figures going into it. Both are on a roll of 7 successive wins. Last man to beat Rusedski, of course, was Henman in Adelaide. Since then, he's won Auckland, come through 5 successive matches which went to 3 sets, and then beating Draper and Philippoussis. And Henman, of course, a winner in Adelaide and took last week off. And at the ages of 27 and 28, this is their peak. They may well have 4-5 years left in top-class tennis, but this is when they really come to the boil.
Well, not too many people win majors, and with the real opportunity that there is, it's right, really, that they should have had this approach. Neither can look back on the year so far and say, well, it's been hesitant, or well, I've had this problem or that. And even coming into this match, Henman has lost but 17 games. Only Tommy Haas has lost fewer. And Rusedski has won both these matches in straight sets, lost just 27. So 10 more games, but they haven't been strenuous. So they're ideally prepared for the match. And I think the match reflects that.
So Rusedski serving to stay in the set at 4-5. Oh, yes. Another of his talents.
Lob 15.
The lob.
Well, it's only the second time he's won the first point on the Rusedski serve, and the last time was when he eventually had 2 break points.
The second serve there really stood up and asked to be banged, and it got the treatment.
Lob 30.
It really gives you such a boost if you can take the first. And then, of course, if the next is a second serve, you know your chances are even greater.
Henman then 2 points from this first set.
Out. 15, 7.
Well, a lot of noise around the place. Not quite sure what that's all about, but a little distracting. Out it was. Very close call. Extra visitor. Delighting in being the focal point of attention.
Well, we had a hawk, I think it was, yesterday or the day before, but not very much a goal to me.
Not exactly what Rusedski wants, though, when he's fighting for his life here in the first set. The goal doing its own Mexican way. And away it goes.
I think it was feeling all at sea, and now it's found the way out there.
Have a cheer it, Ron. It probably will come back. 15-30. A wonderful return from Henman.
15, 40.
2 scorchers from him. And here are 2 set points. He had 2 break points, remember, in the second game, none since.
Game, first set.
Too good.
6 games to 4.
3 magnificent returns from Henman do the trick. And he takes the first set.
Time.
It's cruel. Rusedski knows that. He's taken some bitter blows in the past and ridden them. Some amazing stats in that first set came through. 84% first serve for Tim Henman. Only 2 unforced errors from Rusedski in the set. He lost the set, remember.
Henman to serve.
Henman 4 unforced errors. It shows the remarkable standard of that first set. 10 winners to each guy. High-class set. An excellent finish from Henman, who starts set number 2.
Long.
Well, it was partly a stroke of genius, wasn't it, that lob that Henman played, and also the gull, of course, would tend to have upset the server a little bit more. Came at the wrong time for Rusedski.
Unlucky again. You at home, of course, will have your views on this match and how it's progressing. And when it's over, we'll have plenty of discussion on it with Annabelle and Mark. So keep the emails coming to our email address, tennis.british@eurosport.com, or to our website at eurosport.co.uk.
Long.
Again, reared up on Rusedski.
Yes, he has the option, of course, of taking a lot earlier. One of the significant statistics from the first was that he only went into the net 16 times as opposed to Henman's 25. We might look for a change from Rusedski.
were played. It's one of the key things in the interview he did with us before the match was that he thought in Adelaide he gave Henman too much respect. I have to say Henman earned a fair amount of respect from that first set. He's playing awfully well now, Henman.
Well, I think much of the key, and
First game, second set.
I've advocated it really for quite a long time, that Henman used to try so much on his serve, try and do too much with it, and ended up with an awfully poor percentage. Now, all you had to do really was, I know statistics can be pretty boring, but you look at the statistics of somebody like Sampras, who was generally up in the 60%, hitting the ball as hard as he did, but at the same time he got into a rhythm, as does Rafter on his serve, of serving and getting into the net and just playing a succession of volleys as a result of getting a lot of serves in. Now Henman has got into that routine now, and it's working a lot more smoothly and effectively for him.
And again, he takes an early bite out of Rusedski's serve.
Yes, these are the easier points theoretically to win against the left-hander.
Had a real chance there. That was an important miss.
I say that because naturally the left-hander would tend to prefer to serve to the left court, where he can take the right-hander way out of court.
He's challenging him all the time now. And that forehand down the line is becoming a major thorn in Greg's side.
Well, just look at the wonderful balance that Henman has. Early in the match we saw him play virtually off one leg.
Rusedski's rattled.
15-40.
Brilliant returning from Henman seems to be getting to him. And if he breaks here, he'll have a fair old grip on the match.
Game, Henman.
Suddenly, Henman looks away and clear. And this is going to be very difficult for Rusedski to haul him back here.
Well, the problem, I go back again to the Rusedski serve. He served one ace so far. Now, that's not Rusedski. It's not the Rusedski of a few years back. And really, he's negating a lot of his strength, and has, I believe, with his change of service action. I know it was done for a variety of reasons, partly to save the body.
It's Henman who's probing all the time now. And Rusedski is primarily a counterpuncher.
15 long.
And he's not landing too many of those counterpunches.
Longest rally of the match, around about 19-21 strokes. And Rusedski's trying everything. But I think he's got to resort to plan A, which is generally to get into the net perhaps a little more.
I must say that's what I thought would happen. I thought he'd just get in. I know you were saying He might try and get in on the Henman forehand. I just thought he'd get in on every opportunity, forehand or backhand, like he did against Curtin last year.
And going back to him and his change of action on the serve, now I suppose the query is, do you really go flat out and last 3 years, but in the interim, in the process, win something big? Or do you save yourself and go 5 years and really get so far and no further? I know which I would prefer to do.
He may have thought there were only months left in his career. He's had an unforced error.
Yes, that's good play. Although I think Henman was perhaps just a little negative kicking. It's, of course, very effective to right-handers, but to the left-hander, Rusedski was across to it. And staying back, I think, just took the pressure off Rusedski. One of the big points of the match right here.
It was a good volley, but it didn't need to be that good. Not the pass that Rusedski was looking for.
40-30.
Well, Henman's reading him like an open book. Just magnificent anticipation. You need a lob in some circumstances when people are pressing you all the time.
Oh, yes. That'll fire him up. That must be his best return of the match.
Played this one very close to the body. And I think he's a lot better when he does that. Greater control. Look how close to his right leg he hit that.
Oh!
Advantage Henman.
Right down Andreas Egley's line. Can hardly have been anything in it. No wonder he wants Egley to give him confirmation.
I don't know whether you caught umpire Egley's reply. How far was it out? He said pretty much.
Replay didn't show you a lot.
Game, Henman.
Excellent second serve. So Henman, well, it wasn't a crisis, but it was a very difficult moment, and he got out of it well. But the margins are so tight. If that call hadn't come, break point, who knows? But at the moment, Henman is sitting pretty. He's a set, 3-love to the good.
Yes, I think the key point really was that 30-all point, because when you're 30 love up, you're 2 love up, 30 love, the concentration can just go, and Rusedski did well to get back to 30-all, and then the momentum in the game psychologically is with him. And for Henman to have actually got into that 40-30 lead was really total credit to him. It's still far from over, of course. Set and 3 love, it seems commanding, but the one break of serve, Rusedski, I think, has really got to look to up the pace on his serve. Henman is moving so well, covering most of the spins that Rusedski is applying. I think Rusedski's got to look for the big bombers.
Both are ruthless in their determination to succeed. Rusedski, well, his path of coaches is well charted. He will risk nothing in his bid to be a Grand Slam winner. And the same of Henman. It was a very difficult choice for him to part company with David Felgate, who'd taken him so far. A very difficult choice indeed. It looks as if he might have gone another run. Maybe Stefanki has added something extra.
Love 15.
There's Sven, almost commentating on the match.
15-all.
Second ace. Glorious. Sensational rally. Just 4 shots, but wow.
15.
Well, again, taking pace off, looking to kick the ball just about 170 Ks, and I think, again, playing into Henman's wonderful hands.
First service.
Should take the cue from Henman, who's lobbed so well.
So good. Henman looks to be a league apart at the moment.
40.
And here are 2 break points to go 4 love up in the second set. Rusedski's getting nothing with his serve.
Thirty, 40.
That was beefed up, but it nearly came back with interest.
Came close, but that's what he's got to do. He's got to let fly.
Advantage, Rusedski.
Tricky serve to deal with.
Rusedski.
Yes, he didn't return well in that game. For the first time, really. But, as you say, through the signs that Rusedski's wanting to beef up that first serve.
Well, I think it's just proportionate to the Rusedski serve. Rusedski upped the pace, some quite startling, almost powerful second serves, and they just make the difference. Doesn't give Henman quite as much time. Henman looking to take early balls all the time, looking so smooth.
First serve.
Like a brick wall at the net.
15 long.
Well, he can afford to camp because Rusedski is just not putting up any high stuff. If the occasional lob was played, Henman couldn't afford to be as close to the net. Covering it as close as he is, he's hardly going to make an error. Just inquiring about the number of balls, because they want them all down their end so that none get a disproportionate amount of wear. They want the smoothest that fly the fastest.
Come on. 30-15.
Good shot. And you can hear Rusedski again. Come on, shouting to himself. Recognises another chance emerging here.
One of the few iffy volleys by Henman. Let's see if it affects him here.
Pinning him yet again in that back hand corner.
Yes, I don't blame you for hesitating because he's playing so many forehands from way over to his right. And of course it leaves a lot of open court for Henman.
Henman.
Close again so many times. A better return game. Signs that Rusedski is narrowing the gap, but the scoreline is widening. Rusedski's just ordered his dinner. Don't get carried away, it's a banana. While we're waiting, another chance for me to remind you of our email address. Remember, there'll be a forum as soon as this match is over. Your views on how you think this match was decided.
Time.
We'll chat to Annabelle and Mark. tennis.british@eurosport.com is our email address. Or you can try the website. There it is, www.eurosport.co.uk. Plenty of chances for you to interrelate with Annabelle and Mark before we get on with the highlights of all the rest of the matches that happened during today. Just past 9:30 in Melbourne. In the evening, of course.
Well, 3 net cords in a row. We know what beer he's going to get if he gets the barrel.
15 long.
Union Jack painted faces all around this court. Boy, gave that a clip.
He's got to get angry, and it seems to me, watching him at the change of ends, that he might be brooding a bit over the 200 mark.
Well played, Greg. Well, the crowd want to see a contest. I think a lot of would be on Greg's side right now.
Game, Rusedski, ball change, please.
His third ace. They saw Martina Hingis demolish Barbara Rittner, and they want a contest here between these two Brits.
Well, that old adage about the important seventh, with Rusedski having won 8 points in a row on his serve, and I think undoubtedly hitting the ball harder, which I'm convinced he has to do. Now he's got to find the key shots at the key times on the Henman serve.
New balls.
Long.
Yes, there wasn't too much on that serve.
No, that's a shocker. New balls are actually quite an advantage to the receiver should the server miss the first serve. Gives you that much more pace on your return.
Just away from the line, no complaints.
Important serve here for Henman, because I'm not sure, but I don't think he's missed 3 first serves in a row in the match yet.
What a serve. Just racing away. Well read, well finished.
Well, if Henman plays points like this, and he's doing it so consistently, he's a very likely Australian champion. It's just marvellous stuff, reminiscent of the great Australians at their best.
Yeah, Henman.
Still no joy at all for Rusedski on the Henman serve. And he's a game away from a 2-set lead. Bit of fun now. I bet you at home couldn't pick who's the favourite to win the Australian Open. Give you a few seconds before we give you the answers. Well, give it in reverse order. From 25 to 1 we have Greg Rusedski and Jerome Golmar. 10 to 1 Tommy Haas. 9 to 1 Marat Safin. Third favourite the man in picture. 13 to 2 Henman. Sampras 11 to 2. And the favourite Roger Federer at 9 to 2. Now, Fru and I are big fans of Roger Federer. We think they've got it a little overbalanced.
I'm sure they have. I'm sure they have. Quite remarkable that, but wasn't that too a remarkable statistic? Just to remind you, Henman winning 83% of points on his second serve, and that's to do really with his skillful bowling. Normally he's 52, 53%. So Rusedski not doing the damage where he really has to.
Rusedski then serving to avoid going 2 sets down here.
Long.
Happened so many times.
Just greater concentration by Henman. I was wondering whether he was looking ahead, but on the evidence of that, no. Broke a spell of 9 points in a row on the Rusedski serve, his best showing of the match.
A late call.
Didn't press the button. It was long. No, you're over really
Yes, what the umpire is saying is that this should have been called by Cyclops, but the linesman had not pressed the button.
I think that was also long. No buzzer. Buzzer maybe not working. Let's have a look at this again. Maybe that did get the line up.
Yes, I think it did.
Oh, yes. It was never in till it landed.
Well, it's a super volley, but just Henman is so fast and reading it, of course. He's quick to it. Once you play those little slices, you expect the stop volley.
Vital serve for Rusedski.
30. Game, Rusedski.
Ace number 4. Important for Rusedski to stay involved in this set.
Henman leads 5 games to 3.
So he forces Henman to serve out for it.
And just to clarify, Cyclops is activated by the pressing down of the button. It's done just for the serve. If you kept the button down all the time, when people ran across the line of vision of Cyclops, the bell would go off.
And that happens. Well, he's missed so many at last. With Henman serving for the set, he gets it on the first point of a Henman serve.
Only the second time in the match. The first, of course, was the opening game that he's taken the first point on Henman's serve.
Had to get that back, really.
Yes, it was a tight serve, a nervy serve, but an even more nervy return. See the speed behind Henman there, just 150.
Well, there's the lob, and he followed it up brilliantly too. Super point from Rusedski. 2 big points in this game for him.
15, 13.
Well, when you've got a topspin forehand, you've also got a topspin lob, and it was my suggestion really that he should use it earlier on, but has he left it too late?
there when he needed it.
30 all. T30.
Looks down, but the serve was fine. It was a very good serve in the circumstances. So here is set point for a 2-set lead. Just in. One of his very few error of judgments in the match, Henman.
Yes.
Well, either genius or luck, and this is a stroke of luck for Rusedski. It's an undoubted leave by Henman. Terrific control of his breathing by Henman. Notice the deep breaths before the serve, not rushing into it. Getting a full tank.
Advantage Henman.
Cracking serve. Set point number 2. Again. Wonderful little bit of side to drag it back. What a game this is.
Yes.
Well, if you're wondering about a test of character, it obviously is it, and Rusedski is rising to it. His favoured shot, surprised in a way that Henman didn't cover it.
Now will he go to the backhand again? This is the best of Rusedski, and you can hear him screaming to himself, come on, because this is it now. He's been on the receiving end for an hour and a half. Now this is his moment. Break back point. Henman's turn to exhort himself. Boy, he's serving well.
Yes.
That is the most fantastic second serve. He couldn't have hit it any better. Look how deep it was, and it really got up. Although he's been using it a lot in other matches, Rusedski didn't expect it. I didn't expect it. Just shows, go with your strength. I suppose if you've done your homework, you might have expected it.
Never say die, Rusedski. And it brings the crowd right back into it.
Well, this is quite incredible defensive lob. Henman, one of the best smashers on the tour, really failed the test.
Thank you.
Second break point. Thinks it's long. It did look long.
Yes.
Well, that'll be an interesting replay if we can get it. They do have a side on that baseline. Can they use it now? Careful with the language. Well, it certainly wasn't that far out. The question is, was it out? My instincts were that it was when it landed. Let's have a look. Couldn't tell from that. It looked okay. Looked okay from that. It's a pity they don't have the side on, but they've used it sometime. That wasn't conclusive, but it looked like it got some of the line. Yep. And impossible for Andreas Egli to overrule. No, it looked like a decent call. But maybe that's what Rusedski needs to get angry. Really angry. Not just angry with himself, angry outside. Set point. Third time lucky.
Game. Second set, Henman.
Tough on Rusedski. He's played so well, and he finds himself 2 sets to love down. And sarcasm as well. Well, Rusedski, as you can imagine, spent the first half of that changeover berating Andreas Egli. Are you watching the match?
Time.
You should be disgusted with yourself. You should be embarrassed with yourself, he was saying. Just had the feeling, though, he was going through the motions. I didn't feel his heart was in it. Now, that's what we want to see. And I think yes, it got the outside of the line. So impossible for Andreas Egli to overrule, and it was a good call from the line judge. Classic example of players seeing what they want to see. Meanwhile,
yes, I wonder how much of the spirit has gone out of Rusedski. I think part of the reason for it, and I thought when Henman played it, he looked tentative, and his body language, Henman's, was that he was actually going to hit that ball out. But I think the call was a good one. It landed just on the line.
well, there's the athleticism he's worked on over the winter with Larry Stefanki and Kieran Foster. See how quickly he changed direction there.
First service.
Rusedski should be angry enough here to hit the fastest serve of the night. Instead of which he's succumbing somewhat.
Just looks thoroughly fed up. 3 break points. Knife that one. Every point he wins, he looks up at Andreas Egli as if he's got 2 opponents on the court.
Third game, 40.
Must-win point for Rusedski. Oh, I thought Henman had him. That's down as a miss.
set it up for himself wonderfully, didn't he? He had the option of both that and the lob there, but I think chose the right one.
So many times in that position he's gone down the line, and Rusedski bought it, hook, line and sinker.
This is where Henman, from the word go, has been very much at his best. With Rusedski is looking to wrong foot him, he's able to correct his balance so quickly.
Similar pattern. 4 break points saved now.
Yes.
Well, it looked like an outright winner, and yet Henman almost got there. He is lightning quick.
Super second serve from Rusedski.
Advantage Rusedski.
Yes, a good time to hoist the lob, looking to put it over the Rusedski backhand side.
Well watched, well judged. And Rusedski manages to calm his anger and get to the front in this third set, which was absolutely vital. 4 break points saved. He's still hanging in there.
Yes, he's got to rid himself of those negative thoughts. I know exactly how he feels. Been out there and done it myself and let a call disturb me. And really, you don't think clearly for quite some time. And of course, in this situation, he hasn't got time on his side, Rusedski. He's got to think clearly and quickly.
Plenty of time.
Love 15.
Just a short little jab, very short and slow second serve by Henman. And Rusedski standing well inside the baseline.
This is good stuff. And the crowd are responding to Rusedski, as is his coach. They could make a difference here, the crowd. As I said at the start, Greg's more like one of them than Tim is. Can he bring them totally into the match?
I think, too, there's the element, of course, of supporting the underdog, wanting to see a bit of a mauling out in the court. And by mauling, I mean not a commanding, easily victory for Henman, but a long match. And who wouldn't, with two really talented players playing some terrific tennis? Just can't put them together, can he, Fido? Jabbed the forehand on the first point, and a similar attempt there, getting it very wrong.
40, 30.
Yeah, sigh of relief there from Henman. That was important.
Game Henman, 1 game on.
Beautifully weighted volley from Henman in both senses of the word.
And still very effectively using the serve into the body. Just making Rusedski not only play the shot but having to move at the same time. And the coordination not always spot on, whereas Henman's is most of the time.
Long.
Well, certainly unforced. I think he thought the job was over here. Too simple. I love the way he's taking the ball on the move into the net on that forehand side.
40 long. Game.
I think Greg realised very late that it was a very close score. With serve then in the third set, Rusedski leads 2-1. The extraordinarily high standard of this match continues. Stats going through during the break. 25 winners for each guy. 9 unforced errors for Henman, 6 unforced errors for Rusedski. Very good stats indeed. 6 unforced errors for Rusedski. He's 2 sets down. But Henman's taken his chances.
Law 15.
Well, real encouragement once more. Third game in succession that he's taken this first point. Certainly not plain sailing for Henman.
Thought he'd made it. Good return, and he looked ideally set for that pass.
Well, you can sure understand his feeling. So near and yet so far. Terrific saving volley though by Henman.
Dynamite at the net.
30-15.
Well, he's making all the difference here because unlike in the past, he's playing everything on the fly. In other words, he's not having to take it on the half volley, which really gives Rusedski that much more time, particularly to bring the big forehand into play. Inches above the ground, but before it bounces.
Rusedski's looked on occasions anxious, other occasions thoroughly fed up, but he's never dropped his head. still trying to work out a way to turn that scoreline around. Henman's first double fault of the match.
It's of course generally a reflection not only of tighter control but of a very high percentage of first serves. Takes the pressure off the second.
Two phenomenal shots there. The return and the second shot from Henman. How he got to it, God only knows. Wasn't to much avail, but look at this shot here from Henman. Behind him. Circus act. But Rusedski has another chance. Break point here. This time he's got it. The first big blow for Greg Rusedski after an hour and 35 minutes.
Rusedski leads 3 games to 1.
Now then, can he capitalize on that? Is that the turning point in the match, or is it just a flicker? It's what he desperately needed. He needed some success to endorse all the thoughts in his mind.
And you've got to hand it to him. I mean, he really seemed out of sorts in the doldrums. And he's got a long, long way to go. Henman's almost relentless. But it's been done 12 times in this tournament so far. It's quite remarkable. People have come from love 2 down to win.
In the past, Henman had a bit of a knack of letting lesser players, will you regard Rusedski as a lesser player? Lesser players a chance of getting into a match that they seem to have control of, but not latterly, and surely not here. Not in the Australian Open, not against Greg Rusedski. Greg's going to have to earn every single point.
40-50.
Suddenly Rusedski is playing with a bit of freedom, bit of panache. And there's a different feel about the match, and the crowd are very involved.
Well, it's the difference, of course, between 5-setters and 3-setters. You've just got to keep up that concentration so much longer. And the double fault by Henman, obviously very crucial in his service game, and just allowed Rusedski that scope. On the other hand, you can be given or allowed the scope. It's another matter to take it. And all credit to Rusedski, who really did seem out of it, given his mood. that he should have the energy and the desire to come back into it.
Certainly one person who doesn't want Henman to win. Renee Stent just had one of the emails in to tennis.british@eurosport.com. Watching the Rusedski matches, Renee can't stand the build-up to Henman's serve. He bounces the ball 3 times very slowly, then wobbles up and down for what seems like an hour. I hope Greg knocks him out, so I don't have to witness this irritating ritual anymore. Go, Greg. That's one way of looking at it. Certainly does have an elaborate routine, always has done. But hey, not many of the players complain.
Thank you.
So Renee, just for you, here it is again.
Long.
Boy, he pumped now.
15 all.
And I think it's important too for Henman to hear him.
There's purpose about every movement now of Rusedski. And as a result, more often than not.
15-30.
Yes, wasn't sure where it was going to land, but once he saw that it was in and deep, making the move forward.
For once, Henman looked a little dumbfounded at the net.
15-14.
He had to play this very close to the chest, had to get out of the way, and therefore couldn't really pound the ball.
So 2 break points for the double break for Rusedski.
Rusedski, ball change, please.
Boy, it's almost as if the net knows that there's been a change here and didn't allow the ball to go over. What a sea change.
Not unusual, of course. Quite often players go up 2 sets to love and then have a little loss of concentration. It's not so much being that, although I believe Henman has been guilty of it, but of course the fact that Rusedski's been keen enough to stay in the match. It's really what happens now in the 4th that's crucial.
Serving for a 6-1 third set.
Long.
How important for Rusedski with those saving of the 4 break points in the first game of this set.
Oh! 15-30.
Would it have been at all tempting for Henman to say, I'm 2 breaks down in this set?
30 all.
I'll see what comes, but I'll start serving in the 4th.
Yes, but that would be good for him to do, no doubt about that. And a little unlucky there because Rusedski just slightly mishit the volley.
Break point for one of the 2 breaks.
Yes.
Just occasionally thrown the ball up a little low in the service game, Rusedski, particularly on the first serve. Trying to do that when he rushes.
Super shot from Henman, giving Rusedski just what he didn't need.
Advantage, Henman.
Yes, when you see Rusedski's position here, you realize how good this shot has to be because he's covering that side, really. He's on that side of the center line.
Second break point.
Yes. Advantage, Rusedski.
So then, set point.
Break after this. Game, so
In the end,
Rusedski.
he did give it away, but only right at the end. And Rusedski has taken the 3rd set with some aplomb. It's not just a $1 million question, it could be a multi-million-dollar question if whoever wins goes on to win this tournament. Greg's gone for a toilet break. Here he comes back. Is that a blip? Is that just something that happened on the way to Henman's victory? Or do you think it's significant?
I think it becomes significant if in the first service game Henman is as comparatively shaky. I mean, it's not a real shakiness, it's an upping of the Rusedski form, and it's just not as emphatic on his serving, Henman. But he struggled in his last 3 service games. And in fact, even in the beginning of the first service game of the 3rd set, he was down love 30. So there is a change here. And it could just be that 3rd set doldrums where you're 2 sets of love up and you begin to ease up a little bit. But he's got to make his move early on here. He's got what he wants. He's serving first. He should have the lead all the way through here if he serves as he did in those first 2 sets. We know Rusedski's going to play a bit better, so his serving has actually got to be slightly superior even to what it was earlier on.
Been a super match.
Thank you. 4th set, Henman to serve.
I still have Henman as the likelier winner, but we shall see.
Thank you. Quiet, please.
But it's great courage, great character from Rusedski to come back so big as he did in the 3rd set. nailed that one. Not that we should ever have doubted Rusedski. He's shown it throughout his career. He is a character man.
Yes, he's come back twice in his career, Rusedski, from love 2 down. Interesting approach to the forehand there. We haven't seen much of that.
Henman Camp, Rusedski in the front row, and Kieran Foster, fitness trainer, Jason Goodall in the middle, and then Lucy, Tim's wife, on the right.
Yes, Jason Goodall plays quite a bit with Henman, is a very good friend of his, and is also a fit man who is a coach in London and does a lot of training with Henman, sort of a sparring partner, as it were. Jogs with him, moves with him.
Henman playing as if that reverse in the third set was just a blip.
40-15.
Anxious for a trouble-free service game here. Again, it's Henman making the move, but Rusedski making the decisive play.
Yes, earlier where Rusedski was just hitting the top of the net and the ball was staying on his side. Here it just clips the top of the net and makes it very difficult for Henman.
Important hold for Henman. Steadying the ship. And, trying to say to Rusedski, that was nothing what happened there. Like a fighter being hit by a right cross and smiling back at him.
Remember Henman losing to Alberto Berasategui, very different sort of circumstances. Though the French from 2 sets to love up. But of course that's very much Berasategui's domain. Also now I think Henman is quite a bit fitter, and fitness now beginning to tell, all that training these men have put in.
Top 15.
Rusedski got to the 4th round last year, of course, beat Curtin in the 2nd round before losing to Arnaud Clément in the 4th. That's the furthest he's gone in this tournament. Oh yes, smack bang on the line. Glorious, glorious shot.
Love 30.
Well, if you like rolos, this is the shot for you. A real beautiful rollover.
15-30.
Getting caught a little bit, Henman, between the full drive and the blocked return. He's got to make up his mind.
And again. And look across at Larry Stefanki as if to say, that's something we worked out. If this boy starts crowding me, that's what he gets. 2 break points.
Well, it's always a terrific antidote, and Rusedski doesn't move back that well.
Oh, Tim, that was a sitter. That could have really turned it back again. Still a chance, but if this does turn against him, he'll remember that shot.
Yes, particularly to that court, because as I said earlier, this is an easier side for Rusedski to save.
Ooh, close again.
Henman.
And his mate Andreas is not going to overrule.
If he doesn't call it, I call it. After everything after, just about that. What's the replay now?
So would we, Greg. Are we going to get one?
Henman leads. 2 games too long.
Surely they heard that in the truck. But that's big for Henman. And those 2 fantastic lobs were the difference.
And I hope he said fight there, Rusedski.
Law 15.
Like that.
$15 all.
Oh, so quick. It was the preceding shot that did the trick. Again, so fast to it. And Rusedski couldn't believe it.
Just taking the initiative away from Rusedski with his speed across the court. And again, that beautifully taken forehand, taken so early, left Rusedski no chance. Not hitting it all that hard, but he's just timing it so well.
Frustration building again.
Saw the inability to take more points on the Henman second serve. Henman serving just changed a little here, looking to get a bit more pace, and as a result forcing and missing.
Still the ability to pass on both sides, Rusedski.
40-30.
Well, again, not by his standards, not the best of volleys. He hit it deep, but it was a lovely little reflex half volley by Rusedski. Just tested the volley again. Signs that Henman's not quite at his best, and Rusedski has to take the advantage.
Yes.
Sure enough. Onto that just a fraction early. Another difficult service game. Back to the line. Fine serve, and he needed it.
Yes, the best of angles nearer the net than the service line, and that really gives him the scope.
Henman.
Very important game for Henman.
3 games too long.
He looked as if he might have been wobbling a little there, but came up with a terrific serve. And then that good volley. So Rusedski only ever through to the 4th round here. Rusedski, Tim, Henman twice has reached the 4th round the last 2 years. Remember, he's never got to the quarter-final, Henman, of any Grand Slam apart from Wimbledon. And here's dinner time.
Yes, a lot of people were talking about the relative quality of these two at majors. Well, this is Rusedski's 32nd major, and he's won 46 matches, including the 2 here. 32 and 146. It's Henman's 28th, and he's won 58 matches at majors. So his record at majors substantially better than Rusedski's. But of course, Rusedski's shining star was the finals at the US Open.
Yep, he's done better in Grand Slams in that he got to the final there. He's done better in Master Series events in that he's won them. Henman hasn't, and I think that's a thorn in Henman's side. It was the 4th round here in 2000. Chris Woodruff beat him, and last year Pat Rafter beat him in the last 16.
Love 15.
Rusedski's also won more titles than Henman, 11 to 9. But always lurking in the back of, I think, a lot of the English public's mind is that Henman has the potential. And that looked all right.
Yes, I thought so the moment he hit it, in fact. Particularly difficult when you're convinced you should be 15 love up. It's like playing a handicap event.
Yep, you heard it from Greg, first to applaud.
15-30.
We'll take that. Still the confidence to keep ploughing forward. He's moving forward more.
If Henman had kept it lower, it would have been more of a test. Henman just giving Rusedski the pace he likes there.
40-30.
And Rusedski giving Henman the pace he didn't like there.
Rusedski.
Still steely determination about Rusedski.
3 games to 1.
Well, having broken the Henman serve a couple of times, of course, in that 3rd set, he should feel that he can do it again. Has to feel that.
If that was a test of movement,
15 long.
Henman won it.
Well, I think that's it, and I think we prefaced this event saying, or this match saying, that Henman was the better mover, and he would have got to that with more ease and therefore given himself more options.
Third long.
And a poor return. Yeah, knifed the slice beautifully.
30-15.
Well, that's how he's always played his tennis, Rusedski. He hasn't done it nearly as much in this match. He said he was going to change his tactic. He has. Hasn't reaped many rewards. Will he revert to it?
Oh, yes. Brute of a shot from Rusedski.
30 long.
Oh, just outstanding tennis all round. Henman so elastic on the stretch, forcing Rusedski to come up with the goods, and that was quality.
Kind of shot he pulled off when he beat Pete Sampras that famous day in Paris when he won the tournament there 3 years ago. Pete Sampras in straight sets, best of 5. This is so good from Rusedski. This is the best he's been.
Well, aptly looking at Rod Laver's name there, this was a shot that Laver used to play, of course, and Rusedski doesn't come up with it all that often, but what an important strike there.
A nod from Tim. Should say well done. Big chance now. Wow. So cool.
Yes.
Well, Rusedski's giving it all he's got and came so very, very close. What would have happened had that hit the top of the net? And Henman so solid in the crisis. Laver, a winner here, of course, multi-winner.
Advantage Henman.
This would be a very noticeable feather in Henman's cap if we were to hold on here, how Rusedski has played so well in this particular game and feels he has to have reward.
Game Henman.
Again, movement was the key. Quick change of direction. And the hands that
Henman
match.
leads 4 games to 1.
It's 4-1. Doesn't feel like 4-1, but it is.
Well, I'm just amazed, really. Some of the facility that Henman has shown, the elasticity, going one way, having to stretch the other, taxing really every fibre in his body, and bringing again off the same sort of shot that he did so remarkably against Volchkov in the second set to save his serve. These even more important strikes, though, and they really must be getting to Rusedski, and yet all credit to Rusedski, he's not showing it, giving it his all, playing good tennis, and yet Henman's winning those important points.
We said what a high-class match it is. This fourth set is actually even better than the first 3, and Rusedski is probably playing the best tennis of his career, certainly of this match, and Henman's his master.
Yes, of course, it's the problem. What Rusedski would have hoped was that that third set may have just perhaps lifted the floor a bit from under Henman, but it's not proved the case. The early break of serve, of course, all important for Henman.
There's the man responsible, Kieran Foster. 1-4.
Left for service.
Well, I don't think Henman heard it. Rusedski certainly isn't acting as if he heard it. Another wave. Hello to Andreas Egli.
15 long.
Challenging him to pull that one out. Or a left or something.
One can understand his irritation.
Left for service.
He is a little music hall sometimes, though, Rusedski.
Yes. It's all part of the play.
Now, he really gave that a lick, that serve. And Henman got it back
15 all.
deep and well.
Found a soft ball. He won't make the Australian team. Oh, well, that throw.
Left for service.
Another little cry of yep from Rusedski as the ball sailed
15,
past him.
30.
He's sinking here.
Dirty off. Left for service.
So many options, he might have tried the lob again. But Rusedski was wide open for anything.
30, 40.
Yes, that's exactly the beauty of the lob earlier on, the effective lobbing. Rusedski's not sure, he's almost expecting it, so he's on the back foot, not really crowding the net.
Break point, surely match point. That time.
Use.
It really would have been a quite outrageous shot to have pulled off that one, but hey, we'd hardly have been surprised the way he's played.
Yes, we saw Zabaleta play a shot like that and score with it, but that would have been even more impressive.
Well played, Rusedski. Just a feeling at the moment that Henman's almost toying with him.
Advantage Rusedski.
Well, this almost ripped Rusedski apart as he climbed the staircase backwards here. Wow, that was some effort. Ouch.
Game Rusedski.
I said earlier that Rusedski will do almost anything to achieve.
Henman leads 4
He's
games.
remodeled his game, and remodeled the structure that he has when he serves. And Henman too, tinkering with key elements in his tennis approach over the off-season.
Yes, I think the difference is that Henman's have been improvements, his changes, whereas Rusedski's haven't.
Long.
Just elucidate, and important to realize that Rusedski made his changes not to improve the serve, but to actually improve the longevity of his career, because the original serve was straining him so much. He had to abbreviate the swing and tax the body less.
And even though with those changes he did so well against Curtin last year here, you feel overall that they're not improvements.
Oh, yeah, undoubtedly. 6 aces in the match. Henman's fast, but he's not that quick.
Unlucky. I think if Henman could have reached it, he would have. It wasn't a leave.
Had the feeling, though, he sensed it was going out, but I think you're right. I think it would have had him beat. Great effort by Rusedski, though. It's never say die.
Again, Henman.
Another super volley, full stretch, in control. And Tim Henman is a game away from the 4th round here. It's very nearly there. How much has Rusedski got left? I sense quite a bit. He never seems to have lacked belief. No, he never lacks determination. Henman's still got to earn this. But he's been on such a high plateau of form for the last 2¼ hours. Rusedski serving to stay in the match.
And the ominous sign for Rusedski was that was Henman's first love service game, only the 3rd, but the first since the first set.
And so it continues. One glorious shot after another.
And I must say, probably a lot of people would disagree with me, but I like Henman's attitude, even after winning the first point with terrific play. Being pretty serene. He knows there's a long way to go yet.
Well played, Rusedski. Seemed to see it late, but he had total control when he got there.
30-15.
Yes, the players have such a skill at playing the stop volley from way out wide on that backhand side. A lot more control, just because the technique is a bit more natural on the volley.
Thank you. 40-15. Game, Rusedski, ball change, please.
So Rusedski keeps him honest and forces Henman to serve out for his 4th round place.
Well, it all seems to be working in Henman's favour, doesn't it? New balls at this stage, but I do believe if you use them poorly, it actually plays to the returner's advantage. You've got to get in a good high percentage of first serves. Otherwise, Fido here will snap back at you.
New equipment for Rusedski, just to make Henman wait that little bit longer. But Henman's been around enough to expect anything and everything.
And the theory being, of course, tighter rackets with the newer balls, because they fly anyway. The rackets naturally loosen up as the match progresses.
Thank you.
Usually a very clinical finisher is Henman. The lob was good enough. Would it have been in any other game?
Lob 15.
A slightly shorter serve, even though it was the first serve, and that lob kept climbing. That's one of the advantages, again, of the new balls. You play that little slice, it keeps going up on you.
Just enough. Identical to a rally about an hour ago, where he missed the overhead, having let it bounce. No mistakes that time.
Well, I'd already written Rusedski off. What a remarkable defensive lob it was. Really put the burden and the onus back on Henman. Great bit of improvisation by him there.
I don't think he's injured, just a slip.
30-15.
Pride dented.
Well, look at the second serve by Henman. He's really given it a lot of air so that he can get in a lot closer. Took speed off the ball, a little look across at Rusedski there. But his whole intent was to play the volley from inside the service line.
Thank you.
Just the return that Rusedski wanted.
30-all.
And Henman, who's normally a master at the half volley, even he couldn't cope with that. Had to play very few half volleys in this match.
Thank you.
Well played, Rusedski. Of course he pumps the fist. Again, he makes Henman play a very difficult volley.
Henman, I'm sure, covering and thinking Rusedski's probably going to go down the line. A superhuman effort by Rusedski.
Perhaps the point of the match here. Breakback point. On such fine margins, a match is decided.
It was a great save on the low forehand volley, but Rusedski should have had this. He just gave it too much air. Henman was covering it, but you could see he was always angling it in, and it was too high above the net.
What nerve. He's a cool customer, is Mr. Henman. He's creating more and more damage with that backhand from the back, though, is Rusedski.
Advantage, Rusedski.
And he's got a second break point.
Thank you.
Oh! Well, he asked the question, and those dainty little steps, and that authority from Henman made the answer.
Well, Rusedski's still staring at the line here, but I think it just got it. Cyclops didn't go off, certainly on the line.
Yes, all right.
But that's what he's looking at. Not a bad lob, but Henman's so quick to get back to cover the lob over the backhand side.
Well, the great supporters thinking that at last he's got a call. He's missed it. Scarcely credible after getting the first one.
Advantage, Rusedski.
Always difficult to control when the ball is hit hard. You open the racket head here, so close, but just the pace that Rusedski hit the ball meant it would carry out.
A third break back point.
Yes.
He's played the break point so well. Couldn't have been under any more pressure. Another phenomenal game, this one.
You know what? I think he's earning his spurs if he's to win this.
He looked in such control. It was a difficult volley again, but he almost looked as if he had time to spare. So quick was he across.
Advantage, Henman.
So after 2 hours and 26 minutes, it's match point for the number 6 seed.
Thank you.
And he's got it.
Henman.
And that is how much it means to him.
6-4, 6-3, 1-6, 6-3.
A warm handshake. And there will be utter relief in Henman. Defeat against Rusedski here was too awful to contemplate. He's through, and you can see there's no joy there, just utter relief, but he should be very happy with himself for a super performance. Rusedski feels he didn't get the breaks here and there, he may be right, but the important thing was that Henman held firm. It was a super match for...
Well, a standing ovation for these two, and I found it absolutely riveting, I suppose for more reasons than one. But I thought Henman's play was absolutely outstanding. I thought his temperament was quite remarkable, quite a contrast, but understandable contrast, because he started so well. Rusedski, loved 2 down in sets, was obviously going to get a bit angry. But Henman played the match as if he felt that this was just one match in a step towards the title. Let's hope for his sake it is.
Well, he played awfully well. The match lived up to his billing. He can relax now, but I think it'll take him some time. A really hard night at the office for Tim Henman, but he's through to the 4th round, and he'll play Jonas Bjorkman right there.
Thank you very much, Simon and Fru. A totally absorbing match. I mean, such